360, and if my angle and everything looks different, it's because I got a new phone, and this is the first time I've had this brand of phone in, gosh, maybe 10 years. So this is an iPhone, and I mean, it's not a brand of phone that you guys are unfamiliar with. I'm sure you've heard of iPhones before, but your girl has been strictly Android for a decade. Like, I have been a huge Android supporter for a really long time, and so this has been a learning curve for me, and I thought that I needed to do a test of the iPhone with you guys because I use my phone to do all my lives. I've always used my phone to do my lives since the very beginning. And if I could not continue to do lives with this phone, I was gonna throw this bitch off the balcony and into the bushes because I'm already having a really tough time figuring out like which direction to swipe things and how to get stuff closed. It's really, really hard for me. And so I'm sorry that I'm an old lady and I don't know how to do stuff, but also like, Stephanie's not here, and normally Stephanie is my technology person. Like, she being a young person, iPhones, Macs, all that stuff is like second nature to her. She knows how to do this. Me, on the other hand, I have problems because I'm old. And so I'm constantly leaning on her, and with her not being here, I have been lost. But thank goodness she'll be back next week, and when she comes back, we'll do a little discussion with you guys together, and all will be well. But before she comes back, I did want to have a little bit of conversation with you guys. I wanted to admit that I still haven't listened to the new 2 p.m. single or album yet, which I know, shame on me. I need to do it. I just haven't had time to sit and do it. And I really wanted to like dedicate time to listen to it because in the past, I think that I haven't given enough listening time to 2 p.m. in totality. So I just really wanted to take some time to listen to the whole project alone when I could focus. So I'll probably listen to it while I'm at work because that's usually the best time for me to focus on music. Also, I want to talk to you guys about an article in Soompi about Mina from AOA. So, Mina from AOA. You guys remember that there was like a big to-do about the fact that she said the girls from AOA bullied her to the point that she was considering suicide, and Jimin from AOA was apparently the biggest bully of the crew, and that was the reason why she left the group, and so on and so forth. And Jimin ended up leaving AOA, and AOA's just been a mess. The whole thing. There's got to be like a cursed graveyard underneath the ground at the FNC building because nothing good seems to be happening to this label. Like, they just can't catch a break. But anyway, Mina apparently is in a bit of trouble when it comes to netizens because she had posted a picture of her and a man on her Instagram. Like, yep, this is my boyfriend. Isn't he cute? And a bunch of people were like, that's funny because that's my homegirl's boyfriend. And Mina's like, oh, well, yeah, he used to go out with that girl, but now he goes out with me. That's what's going on now. And the girlfriend was like, yeah, he used to go out with me, but we stopped going out when I found out he was cheating on me with Hugh. And apparently Mina told a bunch of people that, like, the girl's dad had threatened her and called her a prostitute and all kinds of stuff. And, like, the girl showed like her dad didn't know Mina, had never talked to her. She showed her own DMs with Mina where Mina was like, I don't know why you're talking to me because it's not my fault that your man wants me now. And it was just a mess. But anyway, Mina apologized to the girl, apologized to the public for not understanding that she was helping this man cheat on his girlfriend, even though, like, apparently the day that she posted the picture of her and the man together and told everybody that was her boyfriend, he, like, still had a ton of pictures of him and his girlfriend on his Instagram. And a bunch of people were like, most of the time when people break up, they don't keep a ton of pictures of their ex-girlfriend on their Instagram. So that's kind of weird. It's kind of bizarre. But, like, also, I have to ask, like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Like, why is this guy out here letting his side chick be caught up so bad? Like, why would you put her in that kind of position? If you're going to cheat and you don't want anybody to know, like, you need to let her know, like, hey, I don't want to be posted on your Instagram. You can, like, say it as easily as be like, listen, you're a public figure and I don't want the public to know my business, so please don't post me on your Instagram because I don't want to have undue attention that comes with being your man. Maybe if we get married and stuff, tell people who I am, but right now we're just dating, so please don't blow up my spot. He could have done that, but instead, it is what it is, right? So, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy for real, for real. What else is going on in K-pop right now? Not much. I feel like K-pop has been really dull lately. And I don't mean that to be a dig to anybody's fave at all, because like I feel like even groups that I normally listen to, not a lot has been happening. Now, a lot of stuff is supposed to come out in July, and even more stuff is supposed to come out in August, but I feel like for the last few weeks there just hasn't really been a lot to talk about in K-pop. So I don't know. I feel kind of out of the loop on those kinds of things. Even like American pop music, I feel like there just hasn't really been that much to talk about. I didn't listen to Billie Eilish's new album because I feel like the singles weren't really hitting like that. I did listen to about half of Tyler, the Creator's new album. Really, really like it. I like it a lot. Even though DJ Drama does get annoying on the album, at the same time, like the quality is there, the production is there. It's just a vibe. If you like Tyler, you're gonna like the album. Doja Cat's new project is out. It's doing well. I haven't had a chance to listen to the whole thing, but I've listened to several of the songs. And I think that Doja Cat's a person who I can't listen to a whole album from her. Not because I think that her albums are bad. I think that what it is like her albums really are made to be singles, and I don't really I can't really appreciate them in the context of a full album. When I hear them like on their own, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a really great song. So I think that's what I need to do with her. Try to think if there's anything else K-pop wise. I can't really think of anything. I'm just waiting for Dio's solo to come out. I don't know if I talked about that on the channel. I sure did. I did. But I think I privated that live stream. Dio's solo is supposed to be coming out, and me and all my homegirls are hoping it's going to be an R&B album, but the pictures that he's releasing make it seem like it's going to be not R&B album. It looks like it's going to be a ballad album, and I'm not here for that. Tiara and 2AM. Tell me, what do I need to know about Tiara and 2AM? I know that the girls from Tiara were on Knowing Brothers pretty recently, which I don't know if that means that they're going to be coming back with a project, because I thought that they had disbanded after the last single that was, I think it's probably been like 3 or 4 years ago since they disbanded. But then like they were on, there's a show, and I can't remember the name of the show, but there's this show that's become popular recently in Korea where the host of the show has been bringing back a lot of second gen groups. Like he has had Key and Minho, I believe, from SHINee on there to talk about View, and he had Tiara on the show, and he had 2AM and 2PM on the show. I think he's had Beast on the show. But yeah, he had a bunch of second gen people on the show. I think he had After School on his show, because I know there was a clip of Kahi dancing with some of the older members of After School. But I know like Tiara did their big songs for him. I think they did Sexy Love and Roly Poly maybe. And I think that people seeing Tiara perform again made people really miss Tiara and kind of want them to do something else. And to be honest, we were just talking about Mina and AOA. Bullying scandals are such a hard thing to navigate your way through when you're a fan, because on the one hand, you want to be, thank you, MMTG. You want to be a person who is on the side of victims. You don't ever want a victim to feel like coming forward, no one's gonna believe you, and you would have been better just to keep your pain and your trauma to yourself. So on the one hand, you don't want to immediately be like, that bitch is lying. But at the same time, you have situations like Tiara where somebody is clearly fucking lying, and then netizens trying to hype up the drama, trying to fill in the gaps in a rather shaky narrative, then turn around and are like, oh, you see this one half a second loop from a variety show? It's proof that there have been bullies the whole time. And I don't know, like with the AOA thing, I think a lot of people had it in them to believe that Jimin was a bully, because Jimin has always had really bad press. Like she's had bad press practically since day one. When she debuted, people told her she looked like Samuel Jackson in a wig. That's so fucking cruel. That's just a really cruel thing to say. And after that, it was like, she's too skinny, she's not a good rapper, she can't dance, she's had too much plastic surgery on her face, even though I will say I am one of those people who had a lot to say about her plastic surgery, because there was a picture of her right after she had like her like big round of procedures when I was like, I don't even know who this is. So, hi Sarah. So yeah, when it comes to AOA, Jimin just always had a hard time of it. And then when the bullying thing came out, it wasn't a big leap for people to believe that Jimin was capable of bullying somebody out of a group, because people didn't like her anyway. That's not even to mention like the whole scandal she got in during Unpretty Rap Star, where people were like, she's dating a member of Icon. And so, like, it just was never going to be a good situation for her. And if it comes out later that Mina was lying the whole time, by then it's obviously too late, because Jimin's out of the group. AOA might as well be disbanded, because no one in that group has good press on them anymore. So, yeah, it just, you know, it's too late to apologize. There's a parable, and I hate to bring this up in relation to Madonna, but Madonna was the person who told it to me. Not like personally, I've never met Madonna, but Madonna has like a book that she wrote, and the parable is an old Yiddish parable. And it basically is a man telling another man, you know, gossip is really damaging and people shouldn't do it. And the other man's like, I don't know what you're talking about. If you gossip about somebody, you can just apologize and tell people it's not true and everything's okay. And he's like, okay, I'll demonstrate what makes gossip so terrible. Here's a piece of paper. I want you to tear this piece of paper up in as many pieces as possible. So the other man, who was like, whatever, he just tears it up into like little bitty pieces, like smaller than a dime size pieces. He's like, okay, cool. Let me tell you what gossip is like. And he blows the pieces, and the pieces fly everywhere. Well, he's like, okay, that's what gossip is like. You could take one small mention, and once you put it out in the universe, it spreads. He's like, now, just so you know what your apology is like, pick up every piece of paper. If you miss a spot, that's what it's like when you try to apologize or take back your words. You're never going to get every single piece back. You're never going to be able to make that piece of paper whole. And so, I mean, gossip really is one of those things that you have to be very careful about, because there's just some things in this life that you cannot take back, and its implications are far reaching, and definitely you can do more damage than you ever intended through gossip. So I don't know, it's something to think about. As for 2AM getting back together, I would love to see 2AM get back together, because I feel like Jokwon has done nothing since he signed with Cube. Like, Jokwon signed with Cube while Hyuna was still on the label, because I guess they were friends from back in the JYP days. And then Hyuna left the label and Jokwon went to the military. And after that, like, he came back, and he has like videos of him doing dance practices at the Cube studio, but he hasn't really been doing much. He's done some variety appearances. I think he's done some musicals, but he hasn't really done anything in terms of performing all that much since he got out of the military. So it would be nice to see 2AM get back together and promote in that way. But 2AM is another group where, like, their reputation precedes them. Not all of them. I feel like most of the members of 2AM don't have a bad reputation, but the guy who used to date Yenny, he's had some digs. He's had some people talk really bad about him, because people are saying that he cheated on her while they were dating. I think he's dating Kyungri from Nine Muses now. But yeah, he's got kind of a bad reputation. Then apparently he was like the matchmaker. Thank you, Jinwoon. Apparently he was the matchmaker for another celebrity couple, and people were like, oh, he was the matchmaker for Kang Danielle and homegirl from Twice, whose name is escaping me right now. And so, yeah, like, people don't like him. People don't like him. And so I'm not sure that 2AM is going to be just like scot-free when hopefully people would have kind of forgotten about the fact that Jinwoon is accused of cheating on Yenny like that. But you never know. You know, sometimes netizens' memories are very long. My memory is shot. I have horrible short-term memory, and even I remember that. Thank you, Chihyo. So that's why I feel like it's going to be tough for him. It's going to be really tough for him because, yeah. If you look up Jinwoon and you look him up on like Netizen Buzz or Soompi or something, you'll see tons of articles about people not talking the nicest about him. So, not saying, just saying. I'm trying to think what else is going on. Is there anything else I need to be talking about K-pop wise? Because like I said, I'm so out of the loop right now. I guess I'd go to Soompi and see what's happening there, because Soompi sometimes knows what's happening. I think of all the K-pop websites, Soompi remains my favorite because I feel like it's the one that has the least of their personal opinions in the article. Even though like there are a ton of people who claim like, oh, Soompi is just the agenda. They pick which articles they choose to translate. You know, say that if you want to, but for the most part, I feel like Soompi does a really good job of seeming impartial. You asked me about 2 p.m. Like I said, I need to take some time to listen to their single and the album because I didn't want to rush through it and have a quick opinion because it's been so long since I heard about, okay, it's been so long since I've listened to them that I want to give them a fair shake. Ollie London, call himself racially Korean, is laughable at best. The most laughable thing about that is the fact that Rachel Dolezal, troll of all trolls, is supporting Ollie London in his quest to be Korean. Which, listen, I know there are a lot of people who have conflicted feelings about being transgendered. I know that. But like, when you look at basic human biology, when cells are dividing during our time of becoming a fetus, when we're first at zygote and then we start separating out, a lot of the features of men and women's genitalia, their hormones, things like that, are very similar until a crossroads is breached and then they start forming differently. And genitals, both interior and exterior, don't even always form on the same binary. That's why there's people who, in the old days, they used to call them hermaphrodites. But basically, it's people that have different chromosomal configurations. And so you'll have somebody like Caster Semenya, who is an Olympic runner who was banned from the Olympics for unnatural testosterone levels. But the reason why Caster was banned from the Olympics and had those high testosterone levels is because Caster has a set of internal testes as well as a uterus and ovaries and has external looking female genitalia. So I say all that to say, when it comes to transgender and transracial, the difference is race is a social construct. And a lot of race is not just about your outward appearance, but it's also culturally how you grew up and the foods you eat and the holidays you observe and all these other things that make you a part of a certain racial class. And it's about the way the rest of society treats you as well. So, you know, there are people who identify as male or female based on their genitalia. There are people who identify as male and female based on the role that they wish to occupy in society and the way they feel like their brain is actually made up and those things. But that's all having to do with like the body and the mind and things that maybe weren't determined correctly at birth, or things that through getting older you're able to recognize, okay, I've always felt this way, but I've never had the opportunity to have that gender expression. Ollie London didn't grow up in Korea. He didn't grow up in a Korean household. He didn't grow up in Koreatown. Ollie London fell in love with BTS because he's an obsessive person. He fell in love with the idea of Korean culture through K-pop. And that's why he is identifying as Korean. But Ollie London has not done the work. Ollie London hasn't immersed himself in even learning Korean fluently. He hasn't immersed himself in taking courses to know more about the history of the people in Korea and what they've been through, the deprivations they suffered during the Japanese occupation of Korea, getting to know all the different historical periods of Korea. None of that stuff is stuff that he's actually entertaining. His idea of being Korean is being a boy from a boy group. And that's not being Korean. And it's the same thing with Rachel Dolezal. Rachel Dolezal identifies being black as being subject to oppression and about, trying to teach these white devils something and, knowing how to braid hair and how to fry chicken. And, that's her idea of blackness and, maybe political activism. But blackness is so much more. Like, I'm black all day, every day, no matter what I choose to do. Even if I was to decide to bleach my skin, which I would never do, but if I was to bleach my skin and wear a straight lace front and put green contacts in my eyes and speak with an accent that was less southern than the accent I had now, and I was to abandon my entire black family and only hang out with white people, I could still never be white because I grew up around black people and I grew up knowing black culture and I grew up being considered black in public and all of these things that are a part of my blackness that I never made any conscious choice about, but that are so much a makeup of who I am and my personality and the way I view the world that there's no alternative. There's no alternative. I'm just black. I'm just black. I'm just black. And the idea that Ollie London feels like he can just choose to be Korean, he's not saying that he's giving up his whiteness for that. He's not going to give up speaking in English for that. He's not going to never go back to Europe because he needs to be in his home country. He's never going to start being politically active in Korea and taking part in the political scene there. He's not going to do the real work that it would take to even begin to be an active part of a Korean community. He wants to be identified as Korean because of a fetish. And Rachel Dolezal needs to acknowledge that her wanting to identify as black is a part of a fetish. And honestly, it's a fucking stupid fetish as well, because it's this fetish idea of, because I'm bringing still elements of my whiteness, I'm going to be a special member of this race that I claim to be a part of. Like, because Rachel Dolezal tried really hard to be like, oh, well, I'm a biracial black woman or I'm a light-skinned black woman, which made her, due to colorism, feel like she's an elevated member of our community. When really, she's just a white girl who couldn't cut it. She went to a historically black school and sued the school because she felt like she was being racially biased against because she couldn't cut it as an artist, and then made up this false story about being black so that she could get coveted positions in schools doing things having to do with black culture. Like, it's like white privilege, but like to the extreme in a very twisted way. Like, it's not just white privilege, it's colorist privilege. And Ollie London probably thinks because I have fair skin and because I have white features, I'd be considered a really good looking Korean person because I'm very Eurocentric looking. And that's what's popular in Korea right now. Like, that man is full of shit. That man is really seriously full of shit. And it is colonialism to the max, like serious colonizer energy. And he doesn't even recognize that because that's how fucking stupid he is. That's how fucking stupid he is that he doesn't even realize how little regard he actually has for Korean people. But a lot of people weaponize different social buzzwords in order to deflect criticism. And I have a feeling that Ollie London trying to identify as transracial is him trying to use buzzwords to try to keep people from criticizing him for his Korean fetish. And I'm sorry, Ollie, you're always going to get that critique, and you've earned that critique because you're a clown. You're an absolute clown. And until you do anything that's valuable, you're just going to be a clown. Thank you, Sarah. It's sad. It's sad that, he does the most extreme things to get attention. And here you go, showing your ass again to try to get attention. Also, the fact that he has Stop Asian Hate merch. Again, trying to market and commodify off of a culture that he desperately wishes to be a part of, but that, again, he's not willing to do the work to be a part of. Okay, let's talk about the picnic, because this has nothing to do with Ollie London, but it does go into the whole being a part of a culture. There's this thing that we talk about in the Black community called the picnic, and it's a proverbial picnic. It's not a real thing, but in a lot of Black families, summertime is the time when we get together with relatives from across the country to go to family reunions, and usually it'll be like, whatever your last name is, that's your family reunion. So back when I was a younger girl, I would go to the blank family reunion, and it would be like my grandmother's side of the family on my dad's side, and they'd all get together, and the cousins would be there, and we would barbecue or eat catfish and get together and take pictures. Sometimes we had shirts made for the event. Sometimes it would take place at a church. Sometimes it'd take place at a park. Sometimes it'd take place like in somebody's backyard if somebody owned a substantial piece of land. But there's always been this joke in the Black community, like, this white person is invited to the picnic. And we used to reserve that kind of designation for white people who we felt were like adding something to the culture or were appreciative of the culture. And there's a lot of white people that would be included in that list, like Tina Marie, the singer, she was included on that list. A lot of Black people really like Chris Evans. He's another one. We call him Jamal. He's invited to the picnic a lot of the time. But there's been a lot of criticism recently over the term the picnic and saying, like, why is it that we're extending Black passes to white people? Why are we so keen of trying to make them ours when really and truly you can't become ours, because they always have the option to go back to whiteness. And I think it was put in sharper relief with the whole Justin Timberlake thing. Like when the Free Britney movement started to really pick up steam this last year, and they did that whole New York Times documentary, and they talked about like how utterly cruel Justin Timberlake had been to Britney. That's when people took a look at Justin Timberlake's past. And Justin Timberlake was one of those people that when it came to black people kind of claiming white celebrities, Justin Timberlake was invited to the picnic. But we look at how Justin Timberlake skated out of his share of the responsibility for Nipplegate between him, Janet Jackson, and the Super Bowl. We look at the fact that even though Justin Timberlake had several Black producers and writers and behind the scenes people to help him craft his albums, his circle is a very white circle. He ended up married to a white woman, even though when he did his debut song, it was a Black girl who was the main girl in the video. And the more successful Justin Timberlake got, the further away he got from Black culture. Like, we were great to put him on, but once we put him on, he swoop, out the way. Justin Bieber is another example of somebody who very much co-opts Black culture, but really doesn't have much stake in Black culture. Like, Justin Bieber has a lot of affiliation with like DJ Khaled and the Migos and Chance the Rapper and all these other Black artists, and even got upset this last Grammys that his album wasn't nominated as an R&B album. It was nominated as a pop album. He was mad because he made an R&B album. But Justin Bieber, in his personal life, married to a white woman, goes to a white church, Hillsong, has a white pastor. You know, he's living a very white life. He has Black friends, Black friendships, but he lives a very white life. And so we've got to get to the point where instead of trying to claim one another and instead of trying to ask for these proverbial passes into communities, we really just need to come to a point where we have people that we appreciate, that they appreciate. Like, just instead of saying you're invited to the picnic or giving them a black pass or whatever pass, just being like, hey, you seem cool. And just leave it at that. Just leave it at that. That way, what you're doing at the moment is acknowledged, but also we have room to like drop you off when you start to fuck around and do shit that goes against the pass that we issued to you. But it's funny that those things are things that we try to do, like to try to like compartmentalize who's the cool ones. But that's that on that. Anything else I need to be talking about in K-pop? Apparently Song Joong-ki, who's not a K-pop artist, but he's a very famous Korean actor, he's getting complaints about the building that he owns, so sad day for him. 2 p.m. was on Knowing Brothers complaining about Sasaeng's waking them up, which that sounds fucking terrifying. I could not even begin to imagine some shit like that. I would fight. Like, basically, when the police get called, it would be like, there's a dead Sasang in my house, you need to come get him. Have you seen the Wonho pictures? Yes, I have. So apparently Wonho got rid of his ass tattoo, which is unfortunate. The only reason why we know that he got rid of his ass tattoo, though, is because he is wearing the shortest shorts he could find. And when I say the shortest shorts, it's because if they were any shorter, they would be draws. I already talked about Mina earlier. They're so short. They got to be about this big. And I'm not mad at it, but I'm just like, Wonho, quit playing. Jade in our group chat was saying how Wonho needs to go ahead and make that OnlyFans because he could be a millionaire at this point. Like, if he was to go ahead and make that OnlyFans, he wouldn't have to worry about being signed to no record labels or album sales because he could print money. He really could. Because he keeps giving the vibe like, you know, like he's doing some very heavy thirst trap in here. And I don't know why he doesn't just go ahead and just let it all hang out, you know, do the damn thing. Make that money. You don't have to even take pictures with other people at this point, Wonho. You don't even have to show your actual penis. You just need to take these same thirst trapping pictures you take now, but with even smaller draws, and then make your money because you're giving it away for free. Why not go ahead and get your money? Get paid to do what you love, which is to not wear clothes and show off your body. Because Wonho has given us some photos that honestly, you can't say that there's any innocent intent to them. They're obviously meant for thirst traps. There's pictures that he didn't take himself. Pictures where his manager had to be taking the pictures for him. And like literally there's one set of pictures that me and my friends are talking about where he's laying on a couch in the studio where he's asleep because he's tired. He's wearing these tiny little shorts that are riding up his ass crack, and his manager is photographing hhim from the back to make sure he gets all the curvature. And then those pictures get posted to Wonho's Instagram. Like, oh, I'm so tired. And it's like, ass, that's what we see here. You know, or he'll post pictures of him laid up in the bed with a blanket over his crotch talking about, you know, oh, I'm tired, yawn. Which picture do you like best? And it's just like, quit playing games. Like, I know that it would be considered scandalous for an idol to do an OnlyFans. But, on the other hand, I think it could be revolutionary. Because there are idols who have probably felt in their career that they were over-sexualized, not on their own terms. And if Wonho was to be the one to break it open and be like, I'm doing an OnlyFans, who else in K-pop might be like, yes, I've been waiting to thought it out for years? And then all of a sudden you have so many other like second gen girls or like third gen girls who it didn't really happen for, who are like, I got a OnlyFans. Boys talking about, I finally have found my calling. Look at me like do the floor grind dance, but this time in a Speedo, you know. And because OnlyFans is a way that people can market themselves directly, you get to keep so much money. Like, that's the other thing too. When you're an artist and you're trying to make money, the music very rarely ever makes you money. Like, the music makes you a little money here and there, but you got to sell tons and tons of it to make money from the music. You make most of your money from CF deals, from appearances, from concerts, and a lot of that kind of money has fallen by the wayside due to COVID. So there's very few avenues where artists can make a ton of money, because most album sale deals are made to favor the record companies. Like SM, the artists who sell albums for SM literally do it as charity. It's advertising at this point, because I want to say SM split is like 70-30, 70 to SM, 30 to the group. If you're a group like NCT, you're splitting that a million ways, and so everybody's getting a penny a piece. Like, it's no money. It's no money. And so their money comes from all of the deals and sponsorships they get. So yeah, if I'm showing my body on television and doing all these scandalous dance moves in order to make pennies on the dollar, then if I was to take that shit to OnlyFans and I get to keep even half of all of my monthly revenue, if I had to split that shit in half with the OnlyFans people, then why wouldn't I? And Wonho could very well try to keep it away from this relationship and be like, listen, I've got an OnlyFans, but my OnlyFans is not for sex. My OnlyFans is a subscription to me as a physical trainer, because I have no way of physically training every single person, but you can buy my OnlyFans and I do a workout a week, and you get one workout a week from me. And depending on what level or tier of OnlyFans you have, you get bonus workouts that you can pay for. I just happen to be doing the workouts in see-through shorts. But he could frame it like that, and then other idols could be like, yeah, I'm on OnlyFans, I'm doing song covers, I'm doing, game streaming, I'm doing all these other things as well. Because even though OnlyFans is very much known for the sexual aspect of things, there are people on OnlyFans doing other stuff, much like Patreon. So yeah, he could totally frame it that way, and I think that that would be valid. I think that people would like to see it, and I think it could be beneficial for a lot of people. And even if it was one of those things where his label said, if you do some shit like this, we're probably not going to be able to market you as an idol, too fucking bad. Because I don't feel like Wano's turn as a soloist is one of those turns where it's like, you should have left the group way before this because you were missing out. Boy, you in the solo thing has been doing so well. Aren't you glad you left Monsta X? I don't feel like it's that way. He does get to keep a larger share of the money that he's bringing in because he doesn't have to split it with other members. But I just don't feel like it's as profitable as maybe people believe that it has been. And so, make a ton of money right now while people really care about it. Then, take that money, make some really good investments, and keep it pushing. And then get to a point where you can say fuck you to everybody and never have to work again. Because goodness knows it's not worth it. And, we don't talk about it anymore because we're all trying to move past it, and we don't really like to bring up the ugly side of things. But, Wonho still has a cloud over him. I don't think netizens have completely forgotten about all of the rumors and everything else. And so I think that has hampered a lot of his progress as a soloist. So, why not go ahead and take people's curiosity and their rumor mongering and everything else and make you some fucking money off of it. Fucking Bad Baby, I want to say her first day on OnlyFans, she made $1 million. I think, what's her face, Bella Thorne did something very similar on OnlyFans, made a ton of money her first day. So, you could really set yourself up for real, if you chose to. Thank you, David. I am doing well. How are you? But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to make sure I talked about. Not really. So that underage child has OnlyFans. No, she's not underage anymore. She opened an OnlyFans the day that she turned 18, and that's why she made $1 million, because men are nasty perverts, and they'll do anything to see something barely legal. Like, honestly, the clocks, I remember when the Olsen twins turned 18. The internet was wild back then, and people had countdown clocks to when the Olsen twins would turn 18. That's how fucking nasty these perverts out here are. So that's why I say, like, anyone who's like, oh my goodness, you're moving to New England. Oh, wow. Good job for you. I'm not going to ask you what school you're going to because I don't want to blow up your spot. But I mean, there's only so many Ivy Leagues in New England. So congratulations, buddy. Yeah, people are fucking disgusting. People are fucking disgusting. In fact, me and Mason had this conversation not that long ago. And this was like a conversation we just had like together, not really with people. But we were talking about anime. And he was talking about how like people have recommended mangas to him from Japan that have characters that are super young. And, well, not super young, I should say this. They look like children, even though they're supposed to be like immortal beings and they're thousands of years old. But we were talking about the fact that there are a lot of Western fans, like Americans, Europeans, Australians, who defend the use of underage looking characters in manga because the age of consent in Japan is less than the age of consent in the West. And to that, I have to say this. If you're a person who's keeping track of the age of consent in multiple countries in order to justify your being able to enjoy certain bodies, you're fucked in the head and the police need to lock you the fuck up. Because if you didn't grow up in Japan and that's not something that you've been exposed to all your life, you trying to argue why you can own, Boku no Pico because the age of consent is different in Japan than it is here in America, that's you being nasty. That's the only excuse for it. That's you being nasty. There's nothing else to it. But people will jump over hoops in order to be able to have access to seemingly pubescent people. And it's sick and it's gross and I don't understand it. That's the whole reason why the Jeffrey Epstein stuff is such a big deal, is because he was providing minors for successful people. And he was being shielded by those successful people from actually seeing justice for a really long time. And it's weird because there are a ton of people who are like, it's a conspiracy that Jeffrey Epstein was killed in prison and he didn't actually commit suicide and he would have told so many secrets about the rich, but they had to shut him up in order to keep him from being able to spill all their secrets. And it's like, that's fine, that's cool, that could even be true. But the other part that nobody seems to be talking about is the fact that this is a man who sex trafficked children. Why the fuck aren't we dancing on his grave? Why aren't we all super excited that he lost his life in a prison? Like, are we so hungry for, rich people vengeance that we're like not acknowledging that the mastermind, the pimp behind it all is dead and that that's a great thing? Like, because that really is that's the bonus here. That's the great thing. So, I don't know. I feel like sometimes people miss the point. I feel like people miss the point a lot of the time. But that's that and that's that. So, the last time I did a live stream, yeah, that man there's this rich guy that he ended up getting that guy's entire fortune and nobody knows how Jeffrey Epstein got it. They think it had to do with some blackmail that he had on that rich old man. But yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot wrong with that whole situation. This is the part of the live where everybody drops off. So I'm going to try to be as brief as possible about it, but I want to make mention of it because it's something that I really enjoy and I feel like not enough people share with me. But as you guys probably know, Mason and I do a Boys Love channel or we do a Boys Love vlog. We do it every other week. And last week we did the vlog about I Promise You the Moon, which is part 2 of I Told Sunset About You. I know that a lot of you don't care about Boys Love. I'm not saying you have to watch it, but for those of you who like men on men stories, that kind of a thing. I feel like we had a really good conversation about I Promised You the Moon. I think we've been doing some really strong reviews lately from shows because we did Lovely Writer and we had a really good discussion about that. Yeah, I feel like we've been doing really strong vlogs lately, but we're not really seeing a lot of interaction on those. So if you like boys love shows, please come watch us, because definitely the conversation on I Promised You the Moon was interesting because we kind of talked about, like, I don't know, cheating, and is cheating something you can get over? And a lot of people feel like you can't, and I'm not saying that you have to change your mind, but I have already made up in my mind which situations for cheating I can get over. And I can get over a lot of situations with cheating. I actually have in my personal life, because to me, there are different kinds of cheating. There's emotional cheating, where you could be somebody you've never slept with, but you have taken to sharing all your achievements with them. You've taken to holding their opinion in higher regard than the person that you're in a romantic relationship with. You have started to hide things from your romantic partner because you don't want them to know the depth of your intimate emotional entanglement with this person. That's a form of cheating, just because you didn't stick your penis in them. There's the kind of cheating that people that have actual, addictions to sex engage in, which is a gross, hurtful cheating that they do out of compulsion. There's cheating as a form of a power dynamic, and it's something that you do behind someone's back because you don't value them as a partner. And to me, that type of shit is unforgivable. There's the kind of cheating that people do because people are looking for an escape. And when I say that, I don't even mean like, oh, I'm just tired because the wife nags me. No, I mean, there are women, and we don't talk about this a lot, who are in abusive relationships and they cheat on their spouse, not because they are bad people, but because some women are knowing that when they leave this relationship, they'll leave with nothing. They'll have not even extra clothes. They'll just have the clothes on their back. And so they're like, I need to find someone else to love me. And that way, when I leave, I'll have an actual place to go. And so, I don't know. I've had to determine in my mind kind of what I find acceptable. And I just realized as the years go by, whatever lines you drew 10, 20, 30 years ago, them lines become super blurry. Just like your eyesight deteriorates, them lines become blurry a lot of the times because life changes and not every situation is black and white. And saying that just, oh, the fact that you cheated is enough, sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes there's just more going on. And so, I don't know. Personally, I know what level of cheating I would take, and a sexual encounter to me is not as big a deal as emotional neglect. Like, if somebody was spending the affection that they should be spending on me on somebody else, then I'd be like, what is even the point of us being together? Get the fuck out. Like, that would be my breaking point. Haven't read any good fan fiction lately. Haven't been watching a lot of shows. We reviewed The Handmaiden, the Korean movie. We reviewed that for the vlog. It'll be coming out next Sunday. It is a lesbian movie for those of you who are sapphics. If you've never checked it out, it's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it for free on Amazon Prime. But it's a movie about two women who have a sapphic relationship with each other during pre-World War II Korea. One lady is a Japanese noblewoman. The other lady is a Korean housemaid. And so they engage in a love story. If you like that kind of thing, go check it out. And then the week after that, we're going to be doing History 4, which is on Viki, if you guys want to watch that. The Free Britney saga. I'll talk about that, and then I'm going to probably get off because I'm sleepy. It's late where I'm at. The fact that nothing changed for Britney's conservatorship makes me very sad. I do not believe the people sending hate to the judge in the case have been appropriate. Like, yes, you can say bad things about that judge, but don't send that judge death threats, because that's not right. That's just, it's never appropriate to send death threats to somebody who didn't kill someone. But Britney testified. Thank you, Sarah. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Britney testified about the fact that she's been forced to keep an IUD in her body and not been allowed to have the additional children she'd like to have. She's not been allowed to marry the man that she's in love with currently. She has been forced to work when she's been sick. She's had people basically gaslight her into believing that she's going crazy just because she said no to things that people wanted her to do. She's been kept to take lithium for extended periods of time when it wasn't appropriate. She's been forced to go to rehab, and then those rehab facilities being more harsh on her than any other person in the rehab facility. Her dad basically taking joy in tearing her down and keeping her complacent instead of trying to support her real and legitimate recovery from whatever has been happening with her. It's really sad. And the fact that the only thing that happened is that they basically said it needs to continue to be a co-conservatorship between Jamie and this other third party. It's extremely unfortunate because it doesn't seem to me like there's any good reason to continue to keep Britney in this conservatorship if she can work. And I'm really proud that Britney, in a way, has put her foot down and chosen not to work until she is free, because at this point, who wants to see Britney in Vegas knowing that she's only on stage in Vegas to line someone else's pocket? Who wants to buy a Britney album if you know you're only buying the album in order to pay the people who won't even tell her what her rights are as a person under a conservatorship? Her attorneys didn't even let her know she could challenge her conservatorship. So with that being said, like, it's a sad situation overall. And somebody else said it, like, if they can do this to a beautiful, rich woman like Britney, imagine the kind of rights abuses that are being made on the poor and the people who can't speak on their own behalf. So it's just really sad to see all of this go down. Her sister Jamie can eat a dick. Everyone knows that Jamie Spears has been incredibly jealous of Britney for the longest time because Jamie was never as pretty as Britney. No one ever liked Jamie as much as they liked Britney. And even on her own TV show, she was kind of like the least favorite person on the show. So yeah, like, nobody is here for Jamie and her whole I was free Britney before there was a free Britney. Fuck out of here. I pay my own bills. My sisters never paid for anything for me, even though the court documents show that you flew back and forth to LA many times on your sister's dime. Like, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. And like, the other thing that a lot of people point out is the fact that Jamie, who's Britney's dad, he has a history of violence. He has a history of his own substance abuse. He has a history of his own mental instability. So the fact that he's considered competent enough to tell Britney what to do, even though he has his own skeletons in his closet that have never fully been addressed, but her probably having been more than sober for the last decade and a half, nothing. It's just really sad, man. And nobody wanted to hear Justin Timberlake talk about, I didn't know what was going on with Britney, but now that I know, I feel really bad for her, and I think she should be let... Shut up! Nobody wants to hear from you. Go away. And also, like, this is me being petty. Don't take this as you need to change your opinion, but Christina Aguilera came out and she's like, I don't know Britney like that anymore, but, like, I feel bad for the way that people are saying her conservatorship is, and she deserves to be free as a woman. She deserves to have freedom. And because I'm an old bitch, I remember stuff in the past more than I remember stuff currently. And I remember Christina Aguilera was insanely jealous of Britney Spears, like super duper jealous, because people always compared Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera together. And Christina always felt like she came in second to Britney. Like, when people talk about the MTV Awards where Madonna and Britney kissed, people never bring up the fact that Madonna kissed Britney, then turned around and kissed Christina Aguilera. Well, Christina, I guess, got really frustrated with having to be compared to Britney Spears and always coming in second. So Justin Timberlake did a tour after he put out the Justified album. And the tour was him and Christina Aguilera. And it was a dig to Britney, like the marketing for it. And I haven't forgotten that. And so her and Christina Aguilera being like, I don't really know her like that, but you know, I used to know her and I feel bad. Girl, stop. Girl, stop. Really and truly, you should have kept your statement as short and sweet as possible. I believe Britney, hashtag free Britney. Should have kept it there. Because those of us who were around for everything, we remember. We remember a lot. Like, I'm only a couple of years older, I think, than like Christina, Justin, Britney, because they're all in their late 30s. I'm in my very early 40s, so we're not that far apart in age. I've been following Britney, Justin, and Christina Aguilera since they were on the Mickey Mouse Club. That's how long I've been following their careers. I have like old Mickey Mouse Club membership fan packets in my stuff. And I used to have, I can't find it anymore, I had a promotional cassette tape that Britney Spears' team sent out to fans before her album came out that had the song Sometimes on it, and it had Hit Me Baby One More Time, a cassette single. So, and also I had the Japanese version of Christina Aguilera's Reflection before she had her own solo album, because again, I was following everybody from Mickey Mouse Club for a really long time. And the minute that Christina came out with Genie in a Bottle, people compared her to Britney right away, because they went to Mickey Mouse Club together. They were both blonde, they were both young, they were around the same age, and they were both selling like this image of like sexy young girls to the public. And Christina tried really hard in the beginning to have a very like pleasant, non-confrontational appearance. But then she kind of changed her image to be a little bit more racy and a little bit more kind of daring in order to, one, kind of be free of this manufactured cookie cutter thing that the Disney kids were going through during their time with Disney, but also because she felt like the comparisons people were making between her and Britney were unfair, because Christina felt like she was a better singer than Britney, straight up. And so she didn't want to be compared to Britney, and she felt like the easiest way to not be compared to Britney was to change her image and be like, we're totally different kinds of people, not even close. And so that is where that went. But yeah, I recall how frustrated Christina would be every time people would bring her and Britney up together in the same conversations and interviews. So, you know, not for nothing. I see you, girl. But yeah, I hope that one day Britney will be free. I'm hoping that maybe what will happen, because her kids are still teenagers right now, I'm hoping that one day, maybe when her sons get a little bit older, they'll be able to petition the court for them to be allowed to be a part of their mother's conservatorship. To me, that would be the ideal situation, because it seems like already her sons do not trust Britney's dad. It seems like because they spent a lot of time with Kevin Federline, maybe they have a different opinion about their mother than her family does. And it seems like they have a really close relationship with their mother. And Kevin Federline, to his credit, you can look it up, Kevin Federline has been very clear about never disparaging Britney Spears as a mother in terms of the way she loves her babies. Yes, he's asked for majority custody because of all of her conservatorship issues. He's always felt like his home was a more stable home because of all the stuff that her family was doing, which, hindsight being 2020, Kevin probably knew a lot about what was going on behind the scenes with Britney's dad and everything else. But Kevin has always maintained, like, she's a good mom, our babies love her, you know, I'm doing this because my home is more stable. So yeah, I hope that her sons get to play a role in her conservatorship if it continues, and that maybe possibly because they are considered heirs to her estate, they can work out a way to get her out of her conservatorship. That would be most ideal. But anyway, thank you guys for being with me while I test this new phone camera out. I mean, it looks good to me in terms of like, it doesn't look bad. It just doesn't look very different to me. I think it looks a little bit more liquidy maybe. That might be the main difference. And then the other difference to me is it's a wider angle shot. Like it's not as up close as my Samsung, my Android was, but you know, that's really all I can notice right now. Thank you. This is the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I don't know. I tell you, I'm a terrible mother. Let me tell you what I'm doing. My daughter is now about to be driving. She's going to be going to driver's ed soon. And because of that, as a precaution, I got this iPhone because she has an iPhone. And I can't FaceTime with her from the Android, but I can FaceTime with the iPhone. So if I ever feel like something's going on, something's amiss, I can be like, hey, put me on FaceTime, girl. Let me talk to you. And I can ask to look around, like, where are you? What's going on? Not because I don't trust my daughter, but because I know for a fact that she's gonna do things that maybe aren't what I would consider best judgment because she's a young person. And so every once in a while, even if you trust your kid, you still have to let them know, like, at any moment, I can run up on you. I trust you. But because I trust you, you shouldn't be scared if I have to run up on you. So this is part of my strategy of running up on the girl. So anyway, that's all. I will talk to you all later. This has been a ton of fun. Have a great evening. And I will keep this live stream up. I didn't keep my last live stream up because it kept interrupting. But I will keep this one up if you guys want to watch it. But this has been a lot of fun. And I will talk to you later. Bye.